Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, salam sejahtera buat kita semua. Selamat berjumpa lagi dengan kami, tim KKSI Airframe Mechanic dari SMK Penerbangan SIDOARJO. Sebelumnya kami minta maaf, kami mengalami gangguan dalam 2 kali sesi tayang. Oleh karena itu, untuk hari ini kita lanjutkan bahasan kita. Jadi kita tidak perlu memadatkan, tetap kita sesuai dengan materi kelanjutannya. Kita sudah masuk di pertemuan ke-12 pada pokok bahasan layout and forming Part.4. Nah, ini bagian terakhir dari bahasan layout and forming. Untuk bahasan kali ini kita akan menambah wawasan tentang forming pada sheet metal. Kalau pada pertemuan yang lalu kita sudah bahas beberapa metode forming, antara lain ada shrinking, ada stretching, ada juga bumping, ada juga bending. Nah, sekarang kita akan bahas tentang bagaimana cara pembuatan lightning bolt dan juga bagaimana cara pembuatan juggling. Nah, untuk lebih jelasnya masing-masing dari metode forming pada sheet metal tersebut, marilah kita ikuti tayangan dari video berikut. Ya, yang atas dulu.
And welcome back to Home Build Help's Tip of the Week. This week we're going to focus on scratch builders who need to make lots of holes both in ribs and in spars all over the aircraft. Now, we're not going to talk about making the holes, but rather some of the options we have for flanging them. Now, why do holes have to have a flange? Well, just like any part, with a flange, it becomes much more rigid, much stronger. And same with these holes, and we come up with a technique that puts a nice flange on holes of all different sizes. Sometimes we have large ones close to 5 inches, and then smaller ones getting down in the 2.5, 3-inch range. Now, historically, there's been a number of methods and tools to create flanges, and we want to take a look at them. The simplest way is to use a stick with a slot in it and simply take your time moving around the hole and bending the flange in place. That's definitely a little bit time consuming. Now, we do have one stage a little more sophisticated than that. It's with a tool like this. Not much different than the stick with the slot in it, but this one has 2 rollers, and we simply put the edge of the hole between the 2 rollers and then work its way around the hole, giving it some torque and bending that flange up. So that's a little bit quicker and makes a little bit nicer result. However, The quality of the flange and the time it takes is based on the person running it, and of course that can be somewhat variable and a little bit time consuming, but it does work, and a lot of builders do use this technique. Now here is another tool for flanging. This is called the Flanger 360, kind of a nice high-tech name. Basically, anodized aluminum made up of about 4 parts. There's a backbone and then 2 parts that slide with thumb wheels on the top for adjusting. This one here is more of an idler. It has a groove on a bearing, and on the other side, this is adjustable too, but it has a pivoting set of rollers. You notice 2 rollers here. In fact, we're going to place the flange, the edge of the circle, into these rollers, and with a thumb wheel we can adjust the angle and slowly create the flange. You'll see this tool is very self-explanatory in a moment on how to use it, very easy to use. The nice part about it is that it is adjustable, so it will flange any size hole. And we can control the amount of flange angle by twisting this as we create the flange. Let's take a look at this in action.
Now I'm going to use my adjustments so that the idler fits on one side and then the 2 rollers fit on the other. And as we rotate it around, I'm going to tighten the thumb screw, because this thumb screw here, I'll give it a few turns, is slowly going to rotate those 2 rollers upward. So it's a simple tool to use and takes just a few minutes, because as you'll see, it's just a matter of rotating it enough, and when the thumb screw gets all the way rotated in, we will have our full flange. And I can show you what it looks like on the other side. The other side basically is, there's our idler groove, and there's one of the rollers, the other roller's on the other side. And this is what's tilting up slightly by way of the thumb wheel. And now we have the thumb screw all the way in. So now I can simply loosen this up. Have a very nice
sudah jadi dengan bagus, dengan mulus, tanpa ada dekoan-dekoan.
And here we're doing a 2-inch hole. And that should do it. And that's with a 2-inch hole.
Pembuatan flange dengan alat yang kedua terhadap lightning wool.
Now, I possibly saved the best for last.
Alat yang ketiga.
Here is a set of flanging
Flange
rollers.
pada lightning
I got
wool.
these from Sonic's Aircraft. They sell these, this pair, for less than $29. It's made out of a nylon, has a
Atau
threaded
mal
hole,
yang dibuat
has obviously the male and female, and we're going to put our hole
male
in the center
dan female.
and using a bolt clamp these together and get a pressed flange. Now these come in any sizes you want, as long as they're either 4-inch or 3-inch. So I'm kidding, they only come in 2
Alat
sizes,
ini bisa
4-inch
kita buat
and
sendiri
3-inch. But the beauty of
dengan
this is,
menggunakan kayu
if you
yang
make
berbentuk
all of your
seperti ini
holes either 4-inch or 3-inch, you have a
menggunakan besi
relatively low-cost solution for the press type of
untuk
flange.
membuat bentuk seperti
I
ini.
have a nose rib here with a 4-inch hole, and I want the flange to protrude or extend on the inside. The Only difficult thing is make sure the flange goes the right direction. The male part will fall into the hole, and then the female will go on top, and we'll go ahead with our bolt. We'll thread this in. The other side has a built-in nut inside of this. And I'm going to go get a wrench and simply tighten away. So you don't have to build a Sonex plane to use a Sonex flanging die. Sonex aircraft, lots of them are traditionally plans built, and so it was nice that the company offered these, because if you get these made out of metal, made by a machine shop, they are very expensive.
Modifikasi pembuatan dari
And I'm going to
besi.
get a slightly bigger wrench to finish cranking down, though I think I've hit the bottom right now, actually, so, yep, oh, I'm in very good shape. Let's pull it apart and take a look.
Nah, hasilnya kurang lebih sama dengan menggunakan kedua tool yang sebelumnya.
And that was awfully simple. So again, if you don't mind making all of your holes,
Nah, ini yang
either
modifikasi
4-inch
dari
or
besi
3-inch
dengan cara dipukul.
dies for just about $29 a piece from, go to the Sonex Aircraft website and order some up. So in this tip, we have shown you 3 tools for creating flanges in your lightning holes.
Oh, and I want to thank everyone that became a patron. You're really helping to support these tips. There's always room for a few more, but we'll keep these tips coming. And now, everyone, all together now, back to building.
A bigger wrench to finish cranking down, though I think I've hit the bottom right now, actually, so
Dari tayangan tadi,
I'm in very good shape. Let's pull it apart and take a look. And that is very nice. Nice and smooth. And that was awfully simple. So again, if you don't mind making all of your holes,
nah, ini alat flanging yang dipukul, yang emalnya dibuat seperti yang alat yang ketiga tadi, itu bisa kita buat sendiri dengan menggunakan bahan besi maupun kayu. Jadi kalau tidak punya alat-alat seperti yang dicontohkan 3 alat tadi, kita bisa membuat sendiri. Karena di pekerjaan sheet metal, flanging untuk lightning hole ini sangat sering sekali dipakai untuk memperkuat struktural pesawat. Di samping itu juga bisa untuk memperindah bentuk dan penampilannya. Nah, ini bisa dibuat dengan berbagai macam ukuran sesuai dengan kebutuhan, sesuai dengan lebar dari struktural yang kita buat. Jadi tidak sampai kebesaran atau kekecilan. kita sesuaikan dengan lebar dan luasnya struktural pesawat yang kita buat.
They're 4-inch or 3-inch. You can get the dies for just about $29 a piece. Don't mind making all of your holes either 4-inch or 3-inch.
Dikit lagi. Di
So
bawah
again,
itu
if you don't mind making all of your holes either 4-inch
ada
or
cetakan
3-inch,
juga. Saya ulangi.
and that was awfully simple.
Ini yang
So again, if
yang
you don't
mile
mind making all of your holes either 4-inch or 3-inch,
yang pas lagi ya, nggak usah. Maaf.
so again, if you don't mind making all of your holes either 4-inch or 3-inch,
Nah, dikit tutup tangan, tidak apa-apa. Nah, itu yang female. Cetakan yang berada di bawah itu yang menahan. Jadi kita buat dua cetakan, yang satu di bawah, yang satu di atas. Yang female di bawah, yang male yang di atas. Itu bisa kita buat dari besi maupun kayu. Kita selesaikan.
you can get the dies for just about $29 a piece from go to the Sonics Aircraft website and order some up. So in this tip we have shown you 3 tools for creating flanges in your lightning holes.
Oke. Untuk penayangan pembuatan flank pada lightning hole seperti tersebut, kita lihat di tayangan tadi, itu untuk memperkaya pengetahuan kita tentang forming pada sheet metal. Dan kemudian ada lagi forming pada sheet metal yang tidak kalah pentingnya, yaitu yang disebut dengan joggling. Joggling ini sederhana sekali, itu dibuat dan dibentuk agar supaya sambungan antar plat yang kita buat itu platnya tidak menumpuk, sehingga plat tersebut bisa rata dengan sekitar skin. Untuk lebih jelasnya kita bisa ikuti tayangan pada video berikut ini.
Welcome back, aviation enthusiasts and fellow aircraft builders. This is a attempted video with my cell phone because both my other cameras are having problems.
Terlebih dahulu kita
Figured out a way to mount this in the
membuat
tripod, and we're going to see how it works. But today's video
guide-nya ini
is just a short tooling video
untuk membuat
on how to make joggles. Now, I'm going to provide a link in the comment section below to EAA Hints for Home Builders video on how to make a joggle tool, but I want to expand on it a little bit. So here in the Zenith 750, so far I've only found 2 places where you need to make a joggle. One is for the landing light mounting bracket, and the other one is for the steering rod
di sini 3
covers that go on the firewall. Those slots there get covered by one of these, and then they both have slots in them, and then there is a steering rod slide that goes up and down in between the two of them. And that effectively seals off the engine compartment from the passenger compartment. So the hole in the slide is very narrow, or very small, just big enough for the steering rod to come through and connect to the nose gear. And then the wide slots in both of these pieces here allow for the rods to move back and forth and up and down freely. And then this slide cover goes up and down in between there. So you get a 3-layered system there. But in order to accommodate this piece here, inside the mechanism, you have to put what's called a joggle in the material. So you can see here, and I'm having a hard time focusing on it here with the cell phone, but you can see the slight joggle that this requires. This piece fits right up against the center gear channel on the firewall and then gets riveted along the flange. So you have to put 2 joggles in this piece. One just abruptly ends at the end of the joggle, and then the other one has a riveting flange on it so that it tucks properly up against the center gear channel here. So the way that you make a joggle is with a joggle tool and a bench vise. The easiest way to make this tool at home is with a piece of flat stock. In this case, this is a piece of 1/8 inch aluminum, and the thickness of the material determines the height of the joggle. So from this lower horizontal part to this upper horizontal part, the distance in between those, the height of that, is essentially the thickness of the material that you use to make the joggle tool. And then the width of the joggle, from where the joggle starts to where the joggle ends, that is dependent upon the slot width here. So if you want a 1/8 inch by 1/8 inch, you need a 1/8 inch slot with a 1/8 inch piece of
Ketebalan
material.
dari
And that's
alat
what
cokling ini kita sesuaikan dengan
call for.
tinggi cokling yang
You
kita
see there's a 3
butuhkan.
millimeter height on the joggle there.
Itu
That's
bisa
essentially 1/8
bervariasi.
inch. And then on the landing light, I believe that's a 1 millimeter joggle that they want there. So depending on what height of a joggle you need, you use a different thickness piece of material to accommodate that. What I've done here is I took a piece of 1/8 inch aluminum and I
Di sini spasinya di situ ditulis 3 mm atau ini 1/8 inci spasinya ini.
made it just long enough. I probably should have made it a little bit longer, but I made it just long enough to accommodate this 175 millimeter wide piece of galvanized steel, and then I put a relief hole here at the end of it. Whatever you do, make this distance at least as long, and I would recommend longer than however long of a joggle you need to make. And all I did was cut this out on my bandsaw using the fence and made a double pass with it, and then slightly.
Di ujung ini langsung kita potong.
Menuju
ke ujung yang berikutnya ini kita lubangi. Nah, ini kita lubangi semacam stop drill agar lubang ini tidak spasi ini cutting ini tidak sampai bablas ke belakang. Kita bor yang lebih besar di ujung sebelah sini.
A little tighter tolerance than that, but because I didn't use the table saw blade, it's a little bit wider, but that's okay. This actually will make very nice joggles, as you can see in this piece here. This was just a test piece. The way that I've laid out this part, if you'll notice on the blueprints, overall they want 75 millimeters from the end of the mounting flange with this joggle here, and then this upper joggle that just terminates at the bend line. They want this to be in
di gambar ini tingginya jogling ini 3 mm. Di sini yang diminta adalah 3 mm. Oleh karena itu tebalnya plat yang dipakai Tentu saja tebalnya juga harus 3 mm. Nah, kalau ini yang diminta 15, berarti ini bukan. Ini ada distance-nya 15. Oke, kita lanjut.
Overall, 75 millimeters. So using a joggle tool like this, I discovered that the distance between this joggle and the start of this bend, because you can see the bend starts up here. Try to get in a little closer here, hold on. All right, so you can see the edge here goes over, joggles up, goes across, joggles down. They want the overall width to be 75 millimeters. Now to make a piece like this, you actually have to make it oversized and then cut it down after it's bent. So what I've determined is that to start with, I need about a 20 millimeter flange minimum to bend the joggle with. From bend line to bend line needs to be 55 millimeters to give me the correct spacing between the two bend lines plus the 15 millimeter flange to yield a 75 millimeter part. So the way that I've laid this out on the material is I've got a 20 millimeter flange, a 55 millimeter spacing, and a 20 millimeter flange. And what that'll do is this is the very top surface between these two bend lines here of this part. So from edge to edge on the top surface is 55 millimeters. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and cut this out. I'll set up the camera and show you how to do the joggle bends in the bench vise. And then what we'll do is end up trimming this flange down so that it's 15 millimeters from edge to edge. And then this one terminates on the very bottom edge of the joggle. So we'll be back after that. Okay. I apologize for the mess in the background. The shop is getting a little obnoxious. What I have here is that rough cut piece of material, and it's not finished yet and does not need to be until you're done trimming it to size. So this is just rough cut. I haven't even deburred any edges or anything, and I don't need to yet. The way to set this up is, depending on how you want your joggle to work, is you essentially slide this in here. And in this case, I want the joggle to go away from me and then flare up. So you can see how this is going to, when this bends, this part is going to bend down flat against this surface, this part is going to bend flat up against this surface. So because the upper edge, where I've marked my lines, are where my key measurements are, I need to put...
Yang perlu diperhatikan adalah garis ini. Garis ini harus lurus, nempel di pinggiran dari plat guide untuk pembuatan jogling ini. Ini harus rapat. Ini nanti yang akan menentukan hasilnya, tepat atau tidaknya jogling yang diinginkan.
That flat against the piece that's going to bend it down, if that makes sense. So I'm lining this edge right here up with the very edge of the joggle tool.
Di sini yang diinginkan adalah tepat di bagian bawah, sisi bawah.
I'll do the same thing on this side. Make sure it doesn't move. And then with this galvanized steel, you can bend it by hand pretty easily. So what I like to do is make sure once I've got everything lined up properly, I'll actually bend it down against the tool, and hopefully it won't move. It'll have a tendency, this piece here will flex upward against the pressure of it, so you may have to adjust down here a little bit. But once you've got it pinched in your hand like that, it shouldn't go anywhere. And now we'll take it and we'll put the short side in the vise.
Kemudian kita
And I want to make sure that I'm clamping both edges
menggunakan
down in the vise jaws as evenly as possible. And holding it in position with my hand, I'll just get it until the vise
supaya
points down.
permukaan plat tidak rusak.
And I didn't clamp it straight.
Nah, di sini kelihatan, joglingnya udah kelihatan.
So I'll tighten that down. You don't want to over tighten it too much because you don't want to break the vise. I'll get that clamped down and then I'll slide it out and do the rest of it because this is actually too long for the vise jaws. clamp it down and see how we did. Take that out of the joggle tool, and you'll see we've got a nice 1/8 inch joggle in that part. Okay, and this is before I even cut the slots or anything like that. I'll do that all later. So this bent pretty darn perfectly across the bend line. Sorry for the glare. Pretty darn perfectly. It's maybe a little tiny bit off over here, but that's perfectly acceptable for a plans built part, but it's not even a millimeter off at this point. So now we've got to do the other side, and it's kind of the same thing, but you want to make sure that you get the joggle going in the right direction. So now on this side, we want this flange to bend down and over. So we essentially need to, again, put the joggle tool right on the edge there, and then that's going to bend the flange away from us. Like that. I'm going to pull that down nice and tight. Make sure that joggle line didn't slip. Get that lined up, and then again, short side goes down into the vise. Like so. Make it nice and tight. Jaws have that groove in the center of them all the way down the length. I have to be careful with that, but so pull that out. Now we've got our cover. A nice joggle in it. So to finish this part off, we just simply measure 15 millimeters over from this edge here to the edge and trim it that way. And then this side gets trimmed all the way down the edge of the joggle there. This whole flange comes off. You just want the joggle end on there. That's what will bump up again.
Kelihatannya joggling ini dengan kedua sisi yang berbeda arah, sehingga joggling ini bisa digunakan untuk membuat suatu semacam terowongan ya. Nah, kemungkinan ini nanti untuk pelat ini bisa melewati suatu benda, yang tebalnya 3 mm, kemungkinannya seperti itu, sehingga joggelnya dibuat double dengan arah yang berbeda. Ini salah satu fungsi dari penggunaan joggling.
That's the center nose gear channel. In my firewall video, I will actually
dimaksud dengan sisi yang berbeda itu, ini satu sisi ke arah sini, yang sisi lain ke arah sini. Sehingga di sini terbentuk suatu semacam terowongan gitu ya, yang menaik di sini.
Explain why I don't mark the holes or the slots on this yet, because there's some final locating and positioning you have to do and things like that. But this is how you get the base part, and then you can figure out where to put your slot after that and do the finish work on that. But that's essentially how you do a very simple joggle, and it turns out really nice. Thanks for watching that tooling tip, and we'll see you next time. That's all for this video. Be sure to like, comment, or subscribe, and let me know if you have any requests for future video content. As always, thanks for watching, and good luck with your projects.
Oke, selesai. Demikian penggunaan dari bagaimana cara membuat joggling dan fungsinya untuk apa joggling tersebut. Ternyata banyak manfaatnya di bidang forming pada sheet metal. Masih ada waktu, mungkin ada yang ingin ditanyakan pada sesi kali ini tentang juggling maupun flanking, pembuatan flank pada flat turning hole atau disebut flanking. Silakan bagi para peserta sekalian untuk mengajukan pertanyaannya. Silakan Bapak Subandi Rianto, mungkin ada pertanyaan-pertanyaan yang bisa diajukan kepada kami untuk menambah wawasan bagi para peserta yang lain. Silakan Mas Gary, Mas Fatur, sesuai dengan yang sudah pernah dikerjakan. Mungkin ada pertanyaan-pertanyaan. Oke, masih kami tunggu, masih ada waktu. Terima kasih. Ini sudah ada pertanyaan dari Mas Fatur. Apakah pekerjaan tersebut sudah bisa dikerjakan dengan mesin atau robot? Nah, pertanyaan yang bagus sekali. Ini pertanyaan generasi milenial ini yang sudah bersentuhan dengan robot. Nah, untuk pekerjaan tersebut segala macam forming pada sheet metal juga seperti yang sudah kita lihat di video tadi tentang bagaimana kita membuat juggling maupun flanking, itu sampai dengan sekarang masih tidak diperlukan bantuan dari mesin maupun tenaga robot karena masih sangat sederhana. Jadi masih sangat sederhana dan variatif bentuk-bentuk yang kita butuhkan, sehingga ini masih memerlukan keterampilan atau skill dari manusia itu sendiri. Karena kalau menggunakan robot, sepertinya kalau robot itu dia mengerjakan satu ukuran tertentu. Kalau itu ya itu saja. Sementara kalau forming ini sangat variatif, itu sepertinya masih agak susah mungkin kalau menggunakan robot. Jadi masih terbuka lebar bagi skill keterampilan tangan manusia untuk pekerjaan forming pada sheet metal ini. Demikian jawaban dari saya untuk Mas Fatir, sehingga pekerjaan ini sampai dengan saat ini belum ada diciptakan robot untuk mengerjakan pekerjaan tersebut. Jadi semuanya masih mengandalkan dari skill tangan manusianya sendiri. Demikian jawaban dari saya. Terima kasih kembali. Silakan, masih ada waktu untuk seksi tanya jawab ini. Masih ada 4 menit. Silakan Bapak Subandri atau yang lain. Masih ada 1 pertanyaan lagi, mungkin ini bisa. Ya, perlu diketahui memang untuk pekerjaan perbaikan pesawat ini, terutama di repair di bidang airframe ini, masih mengandalkan skill atau keterampilan dari tangan para teknisi. Jadi masih terbuka lebar kesempatan bagi para calon teknisi ini untuk bisa terjun di bidang ini. Karena pesawat secanggih apapun, berteknologi secanggih apapun, kalau mengalami kerusakan kecil maupun besar, masih didominasi oleh tenaga manusia sepenuhnya. Jadi masih belum ada robot yang bisa diciptakan untuk pekerjaan perbaikan ini. Nah, mungkin itu yang bisa saya tambahkan. Sekali lagi masih ada waktu. Dari Mas Heri, apakah bidang repair dibutuhkan lisensi khusus untuk terjun di dunia tersebut? Ya, tentu saja lisensi tetap dibutuhkan, terutama pada basic aircraft maintenance. Ini harus dipunya sebagai syarat untuk bisa bekerja di pesawat. Itu tetap diperlukan. Untuk A1, A2-nya itu tetap diperlukan. Nah, kemudian kalau nanti lebih khusus lagi, bisa mengambil sertifikasi di bidangnya yang lebih khusus lagi. Demikian jawaban dari saya. Terima kasih kembali untuk Mas Dewi. Saya rasa waktu sudah cukup. Kita tutup untuk pertemuan kita pada pagi hari ini. Kami ucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta sekalian. Mudah-mudahan bahasan kita pada pagi hari ini bisa bermanfaat dan menambah ilmu kita. Sekali lagi, akhirul kalam, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.